What's up, guys? I'm here, man. Y'all see who that is? It's time to get it on. It's time to do the interview. You all have been waiting for it. So I'm going to ask a few questions of my own to Rex, and then I'll read some of these questions you guys sent to me, so y'all know the drill. So first and foremost, Rex, what was the plan for Madden 18? What were you guys trying to achieve this year?
Very different year for us. Frostbite engine caused a lot of things to be different. And then story mode came in, which we've been kind of working in pre-production on for 3 years now. And that caused a lot of change. Not a normal year by any stretch of the imagine. So what you can imagine is the resource pool is much thinner for other areas because those things like story mode has to be staffed and the Frostbite port costs a lot of resources. So what we wanted to make sure we did is, story mode is kind of targeted at a more mass market audience. And Frostbite basically impacts the amount of core features we're allowed to deliver. It really became important that we had a strategic plan that made sure that MUT, franchise, and the rest of our core were getting the right things, even though we can't hit as much volume as we normally could because of the Frostbite port.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Frostbite, just real quick, I don't even know if you can sum it up that fast, but what does that do for Madden 18 and the future?
I think each individual person has said slightly different things about what they feel it's brought to the table. For me, it's lighting is probably the number one thing. The game just looks incredible. The way shadows and light coming through stadiums and stuff like that. Exteriors, particles, presentation, visuals, all significantly improved. Player faces, facial animation, all that stuff. But for me, as a gameplay guy, the one biggest thing for me is just the feel of the game. I think the physics engine on Frostbite feels it's smoother. It doesn't feel as stiff. Moving through the line as a running back has never really felt better. And I think probably the biggest thing is Frostbite physics has kind of evolved our physics engine and taken it to a new level.
That's definitely good to hear. And I've seen some of these things, by the way, guys. The next question, real quick, in terms of the story mode. Everybody knows it's long shot. A lot of people were thinking it would be like 2K's My Player. Can you kind of explain, without giving it away, what exactly long shot is?
Well, it's an origin story. And the reason why we chose to do that first is because there's a lot of directions we could go. And so what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for being able to see how the community reacts to it and responds to it. Because obviously it's a risk, right? The no-brainer idea would have been just to fast follow 2K and MLB and do a My Player and a superstar kind of career thing. But that's what everybody else was doing. And it's a very core story. And that sort of the emphasis was, how can we grow our audience and let's build something that has mass market appeal instead of just core appeal. And so that's kind of the reasons that Long Shot was born. But again, it's just a jumping off point. And we could skew it off and go into complete career franchise mode and create a player. We could go Long Shot Season 2 and blow it all out again. There's millions of different options we could take. And again, it's all going to be based on how the community reacts and responds to it. And whether they say, yes, we like this and we want it to be a part of Madden going forward, or cool ideas, guys, but please use this tech to benefit the core modes, in which case that's exactly what we'll do.
There you have it. There's your explanation. You guys were asking for it. Now, the next question. This crowd. What exactly is the difference between simulation, competitive, and arcade? But what does simulation do for the sim guys?
All right. So at a high level, what simulation means to us is that player ratings matter more than anything else. That we have to create separation based on ratings. That if you have a weak offensive line, you should feel that in the game. If your third string quarterback comes in because your starters got injured, you should feel that in the game. And so one of the things that happens is when we have a one tuning model for competitive and sim, it's harder for us to deliver on that because competitive players want guarantees. Right. If I'm in an open, clean pocket, open read, I never want to overthrow the ball because the game decided to randomly dice roll his stats as an overthrow. Meanwhile, simulation players say, well, if you're a third string quarterback in the NFL, it doesn't matter if you have a clean pocket, you're going to miss some throws. So competitive players want their stick skills to matter more than ratings, and simulation players say ratings should never supersede my skill. My skill should be what overcomes those ratings things. We call it overcoming adversity in simulation. So what it's afforded us now is the ability to sort of give simulation and competitive exactly what they wanted. So if simulation says third string quarterbacks need to play worse, they're too accurate. then we can deliver that without impacting the competitive core who never want to see a random overthrow. And so now we can sort of deliver you guys exactly what you want and deliver the competitive guys exactly what they want, and sort of affords us a lot of opportunities going forward, especially when it comes to tuning and tuning updates. Because what I want is for the community to say, okay, we've had a chance to play it for a few weeks, we have some feelings, we want more inaccuracy, we want to see more drops, we want to, whatever it is, we can now give you exactly that without impacting competitive players who want probably something completely different.
So in other words, just to clarify for these guys, a lot of us last year were saying we want Madden out of the box. So if the out-of-box setting is what the simulation guys want, we can leave that tuner intact.
Correct. And if you say, like, specifically, we're happy with the game it is, don't tune it, we won't tune it. But if there's something specific where you're like, you know, weak offensive lines are playing too good, we can tune that specifically for simulation. And that's what Playstyles affords us the opportunity to do. It's really important more than ever that the community kind of unanimously decides what it is they want to go with the direction of their mode. Now remember, this is the first time that we've done this, so what we need is a lot of feedback from the community so we can continue to hone and perfect the styles to be exactly what you guys want.
There you go. Feedback is key. Now here's a question. With simulation mode, well, not even just simulation, but everyone is asking about coverage. What has been done different in coverage in terms of Madden 18, and how can you differentiate that in the different play styles, or will it matter?
So it does matter. I think we do a few things in tuning. I think coverage in competitive is a little bit more aggressive. Their break on balls a little faster. You're punished for making bad reads. The windows are a little bit tighter. That's kind of a global thing, but on simulation, it's more ratings based. So the breaks on balls are kind of depending on the DB's awareness, their zone and man coverage ratings. Beyond that, we've done a lot of core global work on coverages. Some of the feedback last year, our legacy issues list, a lot of it was coverage based. Hard flats don't play the flats, they get sucked up. That's fixed. Purples don't play the purples because they get sucked down to chase the flat. That's fixed, they'll sit deep now. You know, man coverage, cover one press, if you get beat off the press, it's an instant touchdown. All that stuff got looked at. One of the things we did this year, beyond just coverage, is we collected feedback from the community. You might remember some tweets from me. What do you guys need to see change for next year? Well, all that stuff went into a legacy issues list, and we were able to bang out about 45 of those issues, like top things, some of them dating back years and years and years. Because, you know, you guys shouldn't have to live with the same problems you've had the year before. It's not fair of us to say, like, all these things that frustrated you last year, we didn't worry about them this year because we were focused on new features. So for the first time, I was able to take a portion of my team and say, we need to fix these things because they've been in the game for too long and frustrating people for too long. And luckily, we were able to get through a lot of them.
You guys remember when Rex said they're tasked with cleaning out old stuff, building new stuff? There you go. So here's a few questions from the community, guys. We don't want this interview to be extra long, but I want to get some of your questions in. We've already asked about Frostbite, how it makes a difference. Can we press tight ends? That's a question.
Yes.
You can press tight ends. Next question here. Will we have anything this year that will explain the ratings? Like I know back in 25, you did like a little matrix for, I think it was for a month. So people are wondering now, will we have any type of content or anything that will show us exactly what the ratings do, or some of the more important ratings?
Yes, we'd love to do it. Some of that stuff isn't quite ready for public consumption, so part of the process is we need to take the code, translate it into something that the gamer can understand, and then put that out. But I think with Madden Ultimate Team and franchise specifically, since you're having to make decisions about your upgrades, even which cards you're getting based on which ratings, then it's sort of important that the community understands, like, I need to know what this actually does if I'm going to be investing in it. And so it's a priority for me to get that information out there, and I'll probably do it through you guys in the community.
What about atmospheres? Have anything changed in terms of not just the way it looks, which we know Frostbite will focus on, like exterior and things like that, but people are wondering, will there be any element of you're playing in Seattle, you can't hear, you're in Pittsburgh, and the wind is going crazy. Yep. Any of that make it into this year's game?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is, well, there's a few things actually now I think about it. Presentation had a light year because the bulk of that team was obviously working on long shot because of its nature. But you're going to set all the particle systems that Frostbite allows us to do tunnel runouts, pyro effects, cannons that shoot and fireworks on touchdowns, stuff like that. Stadium exteriors, as you mentioned, one of the big new features that gameplay went in on with presentation is sideline interactions. So when players run off the sideline, they can get caught or picked up by players on the sideline and pushed back out on the field. It's something 2K football had about 10 years ago, and I remember seeing it in videos, and I'm like, we got to get to that eventually. And this happened to be the year it showed up on the priority list, and so we got that in. Multi-man celebrations is another big thing this year. If your player is celebrating in the end zone and there's other teammates near him, they will come in and do a coordinated celebration. The cool thing about that, though, is that we've changed our architecture such that we can release title updates with animations in them. And so because of the rule changes in the NFL this year, we don't know what they're going to do. They've relaxed the rules on celebrations. They're allowing balls to be used as a prop. They're allowing group celebrations. So rather than try to guess at what players are going to do, we're going to sit and watch. And when the first title update comes out, hopefully, if all things go according to plan, we can release a whole bunch of these celebration animations that are from the first 4 weeks of the NFL season. So that's the plan right now. You'll start to see that stuff show up over time.
All right. So it's probably not really any, at this moment, not any difference. I won't say difference, but not any real focus on home field advantage or anything like that for this product, this particular game.
No, and weather's been upgraded. It looks better on Frostbite, but it's not the true version that you and I both know we need to get to, which is dynamic weather and weather that changes over time and weather that has a huge impact on gameplay. So that's something we wanted to get to. It didn't make it this year, but it's pretty high on the list for graphics and gameplay.
All right, and this is probably going to be a quick question, but everyone is asking, what's going on with CFM? What happened in CFM? Is there any changes, or what can we expect? Or are there any explanations as to why maybe there's not any changes, any huge changes in CFM?
Yeah, there's a lot of strategic answers that I'd love to give here that are about resource allocations and 2 to 3 year plans. I'm going to say what I can say without getting myself into trouble, but it's kind of like what happened is franchise between Madden and actually NBA with the one, and we're trying to say, it doesn't make sense for Madden franchise to move forward and NBA franchise to go in a different direction. How can we pool our resources and collapse the tech stack so that everything NBA does, Madden benefits from, and everything Madden does, NBA benefits from? And so that sort of opened up a conversation about like, okay, how divergent are the tech stacks between what Madden has and what NBA is doing? And so what we did this year is we made some investments in that technology stack to ensure that if Tiburon builds a feature for franchise, or builds a feature for the one, or builds a feature for NBA, or builds a feature for Madden, it doesn't matter. Every game will benefit from it, and every game will have it. So if you look at some of the stuff that's going on in NBA this year, you're probably getting a preliminary view of what Madden could pull from next year. And there's a lot of good work that they've done this year. And so that's one of the things, one of the reasons we weren't able to go as deep this year is because we're setting ourselves up for basically unified development, and that will end up with huge booms for the franchise guys going forward because NBA is investing so heavily in that space, and Madden can draft off of all that work fairly easily. So getting into the features, though, you've already heard about coach adjustments. That's probably my number one that I wanted to get in for franchise guys, as well as best on best with multiple ways to assign your cornerbacks and wide receiver matchups. Off-ball injuries, Clint was able to get in an automated draft board so you can set the priority on your draft board, and then the whole online process will be automated for you so you don't have to have all your 32 users in that long, kind of grindy draft experience. They did a lot of work on tuning regression. Okay. We made sure Tom Brady doesn't retire after the first season because he's the cover man. But Sim, the one thing we haven't talked about a lot, and one of the reasons why we haven't talked about it is because it's being positioned by marketing as Play Now Live. Yeah. Now the reason that's so important to you as a franchise gamer is Play Now Live is built on the back of the franchise architecture. That might not seem much right now because you're thinking to yourself like, well, how is Play Now relevant to franchise? So let me explain it to you. Play Now Live allows you to pick up at any game, any point in the regular season, and have up-to-date stats, up-to-date commentary. So effectively, imagine last year, it's week, I forget what week it was, week 13, 14, when Tony Romo came back. Oh, yeah. And they had to make a decision. Do I want to start Tony or do I want to keep Dak in? So you could basically, in franchise, you could pick up Play Now Live, pick that week, choose to start Tony Romo, and then once you finish your game, it allows you to pick up and start a franchise from that point. So you can basically pick your favorite team, pick a critical point from their season, and basically start your franchise that way. But that's not the coolest part. The coolest part is what this means, is that every week, franchise is going to have new games of the week from the regular season. And you're like, oh, that's cool, but why should I care about that? Because I've already started my 32-man league and I've already started going, so why is that relevant to me? Here's why it's relevant. What this means is that franchise is now unlocked for live content updates. I want you to think about that for a second, because if you've played Madden Ultimate Team, you know what that means. It means they can put out new promos and new content and all this cool stuff. Now, we don't have a lot of plans for that this year, but what I'm saying is the architecture is there. So I know there's some people that are thinking like, oh, all they care about is MUT these days, and not at all. What we do care about is games as a live service. We want to keep you playing all year long and keep you re-engaged all year long. And the only way we can do that is by pushing new content out, doing holiday promos and stuff like that, which MUT already has and keeps people engaged. But we want to do it for franchise. We want to make sure that you guys get new stuff, you get as much cool stuff as MUT. And the only way to do that is to set you up for live content updates. And that is the future, and that's one of the reasons why on the surface it looks like the features are kind of thin, but under the surface, trust me, a lot of groundwork has been laid for big, big, big things in franchise moving forward. And let me just follow with this. I know some people think, MUT's the future, and FIFA's definitely positioned that way. Y'all forgot about franchise. Trust me. I'm a franchise guy. I'm a sim guy. Clint's a franchise guy. He's a sim guy. We all play in an online developer league. 65% of our player base plays in franchise. It would be a huge strategic error for us to stop investing in franchises, to stop treating it as one of the premium modes. So I know you're going to take my word for it here, but trust me when I say franchise is certainly a top priority for us and will continue to be so for many years to come.
There you have it, guys. They have not forgotten about franchise like some of you guys think. Well, I'm not going to ask many more questions, guys. We're already at 17 and a half minutes. I'm just going to end with one. You know it's going to be my interview. Shop, I'm sure, will have one, maybe even Smitty and other guys. So collectively, you will hear all of the questions. I always end with this question. It's two-part. Is there anything in Madden 18 that you wanted to get there, you had to put it on the back burner that you can discuss? And also, what's your biggest achievement or the proudest thing that you are that you guys were able to do for Madden 18?
Something that didn't make it in that I can talk about. We recorded a lot of player-specific celebrations, which fell off the back end because a lot of my animation team is currently helping out with Longshot. I still hope to get those in, but it kind of crushed me because I went and looked through the videos right before I left, and I'm like, these are so cool. So that was one thing I would love to get in that right now is currently out of scope. Now, in terms of what I'm proudest of?
Yeah. Biggest thing you're happy that you're able to accomplish with 18? It's not done yet.
So,
by the way, it's still work in progress.
That's a good question. I think for me, it's user skill mechanics. Over the last 3 years, we've done a lot of work on things like ball hawk and previous play to help you understand, to learn, to kind of collapse the skill gap a little bit. Took a lot of heat from the competitive community for it, but the game grew. We had several successful years behind it. But this year we started shifting a little bit, and we're like, okay, what if we took Heat Seeker off hit stick and we forced you to kind of line it up perfectly and made it more of a user skill? What if we built this target passing system that was really, really hard and not at all for casuals and not accessible or not mass market? But if you're willing to put your time in, you're willing to lab, it would allow you as a user to really separate yourself. So all these little various skill mechanics that came in that really catered to users who put their time in and learn to master these things are going to excel. That popped for me more than I ever expected it to. When they told me they were taking Heat Seeker off hit stick, I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. No one's gonna be able to hit stick. And then I started playing it and I whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed again. But by my 4th or 5th game, when I finally landed one, 1 out of 20, that was the most satisfying hit stick I've had in 5 years, dude. And then I keep playing, and a month later, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm mastering the hit stick. And to me, that was a real aha moment of saying, like, these things that I thought, you know, and the ball hawk changes as well. It's actually, when you feel like your user skill is what got you the outcome, it is way more satisfying than just holding a button and getting the outcome. And I think I always knew that in my heart, but competitive game style sort of, and even just the direction we're headed allows us to kind of make these calls now. And I think we'll keep doing it in the future, where people with good stick skills should have the ability, the opportunity to separate themselves and basically establish that skill gap in Madden.
There you have it. Well, actually, one last question. And again, guys, Rex may or may not be able to answer this one, but the biggest question, after seeing the long shot trailer, everyone's saying, where's the Madden presentation? Like normal, we didn't get a gameplay trailer, or is there a reason why? Because most people, of course, they're saying, oh, they're scared to show it, which is absolutely not true. The game is fine. But is there a reason why we didn't get that normal presentation?
Yeah, it's really a marketing call done way above our heads, and it's kind of, they want to focus on long shot coming out the gate. And so when we put out the long shot trailer, what they don't want to do is put out a gameplay trailer right on top of that. Because it's either, I wouldn't say trumpet, but it's at least going to split the views down the middle. And the other thing is, you know, we do these marketing trailers and whatever, and they like to zoom in and show cleats and flashy clothing, and I'm like, can we pull out so we can just see the game? So this year what they said is, you know, in the probably around late June, early July, mid-July, we're going to bring some game changers and some community content people, hopefully bring them down to the studio and do a capture event. And so what's likely to happen is all the gameplay stuff is going to come from the community. And honestly, I think that's the right approach. Because we could spend, you know, however much, God knows how much money on a marketing trailer and probably make something that you guys wouldn't be cool with. But wouldn't you much rather see a trailer from like a Toke or a Sim or you know, a Golden Sports or one of these, like a community leader's problem, and let them capture it and then tell you in their own words what they think about the game and show you the things that they think are important to their subs. So we've kind of embraced that strategy. And so what you'll see in the weeks and months ahead is much more gameplay content coming out, but it's going to come from our community and our influencers instead of our marketing department. And honestly, that's the way I'd rather have it.
There you have it, guys. This was a super long interview, another great one. For those who are living under a rock, when does Madden come out?
August 22nd.
August 22nd. See, I thought it was the 25th. I was wrong. But there it is, man. Like I said, if you want more content, there's going to be more interviews. Rex.
Are you going to be at E3?
No, not at E3.
I got a special surprise at E3 at the Microsoft booth.
Oh, boy. Y'all hear that? Special surprise.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, all right, Rex.
Thank you, sir.
It was always great. Good time always. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button and stay tuned for more Madden news. Peace.